Well, hello, a very good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on where in the world you are tuning in from. My name is Adrian Reed, and I'm really pleased in today's session to be joined by a colleague and friend, Bindu, who I've known. I was trying to think on the lead up to this how long I've known you, Bindu, but it must be a decade or more, probably more actually, which says something. And we're going to be discussing today a topic which is probably close to many of our hearts, or even if it isn't, it's a topic that probably should be close to our practice and our hearts, which is cybersecurity. And Bindu is the author of a new book on cybersecurity and business analysis, which, if you are interested in cybersecurity or if you are involved in business analysis, you should definitely take a look at. And we will have a competition a little bit later on where you could potentially win an electronic version of this. So we're going to get started. Just before we do, though, if you are attending live, which is always the best thing to do with a session like this, remember that if you have a question, you can put it in the chat. And indeed, if you have a comment, you can put it in the chat, and we may well bring some of those up on the screen, as we go through our conversations. So, first of all, before we start, if you would like the chance of winning an electronic version of Bindu's book, you just need to navigate to badigest.link/comp. That's badigest.link/comp. Put in your details there, and we will pick actually 2 lucky winners towards the end of this session. So I'll leave that up on the screen for just a moment while we start. And Bindu, I have to ask, what inspired you to write a book about cybersecurity and business analysis? I mean, I'm really glad that you did, but what was the inspiration?
Thank you, Adrian, for this lovely introduction. And I think this book was a long time due. As you just mentioned, we know each other from a very long time, and I have been working in this space of bringing cybersecurity awareness within our BA community. And also, yes, as part of the introduction, you said if you're interested in cybersecurity, you should buy this book. I think today we are in a position where if we are a BA, we need to include cybersecurity within our analysis. So if you're a BA, cybersecurity is part of the package. That is what it is today, unlike probably a decade or 2 back. So long story short, I think 17, 18 is when I was part of the CCA team. And since then, I have been talking at every opportunity, whether it's a conference or a webinar or a networking event, anywhere, sharing this imperative message that cybersecurity analysis should be part of business analysis and not to be left for the cybersecurity team or the IT team specifically. In fact, we should be working together. So every time when I have a session, people say, yes, I do get it now, but how do I go about it? So that's when, at the end of the session, I would either share a few pointers in their day-to-day BA activities or also a long list of links where they could go and learn more about the subject. But then I think the logical progression to that was give this knowledge and this learning experience some structure so that it's easier for business analysts to, who understand, yes, this is part of my analysis now, and how do I go about it? So this book actually talks about, or even holds a BA's hand, or when I say BA, whoever uses the BA skills here, their hand, and they will walk them through to every stage of the project, whether it is the initial discovery phase or your testing or implementing, irrespective of whichever phase the project is, how holistically cybersecurity must be included is what the book talks. And that is why it was, I think, a really long time due for our profession as well. And my personal experience learning from a project which was actually a cyber incident, but which wasn't seen as a cyber incident. I think it was around 2015 or something like that. So again, yeah, from there to now, it's a long journey, and that's why, yes, this had to happen sooner or later.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Bindu. And I can see people are really entering the competition. A few people have asked whether I can put the link in the chat. LinkedIn actually doesn't let me put it in the chat from the broadcast studio, but Sean, I think, has put the link in the chat there. So thank you very much, Sean, for doing that. Yeah, excellent. And I think you're right. It's a long time. It's a long time coming. It's something that we should be thinking about. It's so much more than just NFRs. It's something that's crucial. And you look at the way that the threats that are out there now. I think there was perhaps once perhaps a perception that it was just a hacker in a basement. It was someone having a bit of a laugh, and maybe that was true in the 80s and early 90s. Whereas now, I remember hearing I think it was a retired general or something saying that there are different theatres of war, and one of them is information, so misinformation, and one of them is cyber. So you've potentially got states protecting and using that as an attack vector, which I think it just is mind-boggling when you start to think like that. But bring that down a little bit down to earth, so to speak. I'm sure many people here will have a gut feeling of what cybersecurity is, but how would you define it, and why would you say it's particularly relevant for BAs?
Anyway, the book talks about the definition of cybersecurity in detail, including the term as well, and coming how the root of the word and everything. But for the benefit of this short conversation, to put it in a very, very simplistic terms, anything that we do in the cyberspace that needs protection is cybersecurity. It could be data in any form, or document, or a conversation, or pictures, or anything for that matter, or the way the data is communicated. Anything that we do on cyberspace which needs protection is cybersecurity. And the second part of the question was why it is relevant to business analysts. So, Adrian, you're a business analyst. You know very well that BAs are those people who actually co-create the value for the organization. We not only see that is visible, we also, with our skills and techniques and frameworks, whatever we use, we also unravel and the layers of onion, and also bring up that is not visible to the organization through our analysis, so that whoever is making this decision can make the right decision based on our analysis. So let's take a small example, like it could be a PESTLE analysis or whatever. We talk about external environment and internal environment. We talk about the political environment. So given when we talk about these environments, traditionally, security was not at all part of it, or cybersecurity was not at all part of it. Today, it is very much. And the reason for that is, say, again, as you were sharing a decade or two back, the key driver for any change was the business. So the business had decided, okay, let's do this. This is our need for whatever the reasons. Here is the business case, and we want to make this change. And technology only came as a means to the solution. So that is why it was, NFRs was sufficient at that time. But however, today, because the technology is or has become the driving force, because there's technology, let's add this feature. Because there's technology, let's improve our user experience. So the driving factor is completely different. So we don't log into our system and log out once it is done. So everything, the technology is very pervasive in our personal and organizational lives. So because there's no boundary here, security is not anything outside. So that is why, as part of our analysis as a BA, we will have to include that from our strategic analysis, what is that strategy, or what is the objective? What is this dependent on? Is this dependent on the data that we have analyzed and identified? Is this need coming from there? What kind of data is that? And the conversation starts from there. And which means we will have not only the business key stakeholders, we also have the security team stakeholders or the data stakeholders, because they are all part of this conversation today. And that is where BAs have to include, and it's very relevant for them.
Yeah, thanks, Bindu. And as you were speaking there, I was thinking that actually this comes back to something that we're really passionate about usually as BAs, which is taking a holistic view, taking a step back, and perhaps asking questions of things, areas that people haven't thought about. And it feels like a natural extension to that, or not even an extension; it's a core part. And in fact, just to bring up a couple of comments, so we've got someone who I think your privacy settings prevents us from putting your name up here, but DevSecOps, so not DevOps, but development and security and embedded, and I think that's a really powerful message. Is let's build this in. Let's not test it out. Let's build it in from the very, very beginning. And we have a comment from, and apologies if I mispronounce anyone's name. I will try and pronounce correctly where I can. I think this is Satnam. What certification would you recommend for a cyber BA, CISSP or something else? For context, I've been a cyber BA for 8+ years. Bindu, I know you will have a very, very good answer to this.
Yes. Again, I think the scope of this conversation, which probably we should have actually said, is for business analysts. So we are business analysts, and we are talking about including cybersecurity within our analysis, again, holistically. That means if you take a spectrum where business analysis is on one end, cybersecurity analyst is on the other end. And that is where the cybersecurity analyst analyzes the solution part of it, where what are those threats, more into technical side of stuff. Whereas from a business analyst who is coming or trying to include cybersecurity now into the holistic analysis, will not be an expert in cybersecurity, and they will actually work together. So BA and the CS analysts work together. So to answer this question, I am not a cybersecurity analyst or an expert to recommend what are the certifications that are required, because that is purely very technical in nature. However, from a BA perspective, to gain this cybersecurity knowledge so that we can deliver complete, accurate, holistic analysis, yes, we do have few certifications that I can recommend.
Fantastic. And in terms of the certification you'd recommend there, would that be the IIBA's cybersecurity? It's the CCA, I believe, the IIBA CCA.
Yes, that is true. IIBA CCA certification, and also as part of this now, I have also created a training program and which is called Cybersecurity for Business Analysts. So this is a digital space where people, it happens in 3 stages. One is if you want to just get an awareness, there are articles which are all freely available, and there are webinars where the business analyst can get that awareness. And the next stage is learning and understanding the key concepts of cybersecurity. That is where the book comes in handy, where the book can be used to learn those concepts and to gain the competency and become a cybersecurity knowledge BA, so that they can actually start including the cybersecurity analysis holistically, irrespective of whatever the phase the project is in, is the training that they can get, and they also get a certificate at the end of that. So since Adrian, you have put this up, basically I have gone ahead and created a mission on behalf of the entire business analysis community that every BA must have this cybersecurity knowledge and should start including that within their analysis from the awareness till actual implementation in the next 5 years. So it's just not one person's commitment, it is a community. And as a community, we have to do this. And I think we have just discussed why this is so important, because we are called the trusted advisors within our organizations. So people, the organization leaders, they actually lean on our analysis and they trust our analysis. So, which means bringing all the facts, including cybersecurity, to the table is our responsibility. So, it is each and every BA's responsibility to actually start including, have those conversations of cybersecurity holistically. So, this is a mission that we all have to go together, and I hope we do that within the next 5 years.
Fantastic! What a great vision and mission to have there, Bindu. Sort of springboarding from that, if you think about tools, techniques, or concepts, because I'm sure there'll be many people tuned into this who are practitioners, and they're thinking, well, yes, I probably want to get training, but actually, I'd really like to know just what kind of tools and techniques would be relevant. What kind of tools, techniques, concepts should people be looking at? What do you think people should be learning?
In terms of incorporating cybersecurity, we need to, or a BA needs to learn what are those concepts that we need to start including within our analysis. We don't talk about specific techniques or tools, because whatever the tools and techniques as a BA we are using, we will be extending those to include cybersecurity. So if you're using, for example, SWOT or PESTLE or those kind of, or any other frameworks, we will extend this to include cybersecurity. If we are writing scenarios or if you're writing requirements, we will extend that to include cybersecurity. So there's no new techniques or new tools, but we extend, and the book actually talks about these in detail. Every phase of the project, these are the tools, how we currently use, and how this can be extended to include cybersecurity. So yes, but in terms of the concepts, the cyber concepts, that is something we will have to learn new knowledge and start incorporating. And to aid this process, I have actually created a framework. So this framework is an amalgamation between business analysis and cybersecurity together. And yeah, that is where it takes forward.
Fantastic. What I'm imagining here, Bindu, is cybersecurity is almost like a perspective or a lens on business analysis. So it's not necessarily about whole new sets of tools and techniques. It's about applying those existing tools and techniques with a cybersecurity mindset. Would you say that's a fair statement?
It is absolutely the fair statement, and you're spot on. Because even in the framework, the foundation of the framework itself is the mindset. And this mindset is both the business analysis mindset, and another lens on top of the BA lens is the security mindset. That's the foundation. Yes.
Fantastic. One thing that we've probably all come across is things like cybersecurity are sometimes seen as blockers. You know, it's like, I remember I used to work in a financial services company, in the compliance team. Well, this wasn't cybersecurity, but just as a parallel, we're sort of affectionately known by some stakeholders as the business prevention department, which was an in joke, right? It was, and we knew that wasn't really the case.
Yeah.
But how do you think you strike that balance of a business that wants to get stuff done and wants to move very fast? And sometimes in cybersecurity, we might be saying, actually, you need to think more about the strength, the resilience, the strength, and those sorts of things. How is that balanced, or how can it be balanced?
I think from my experience, what I have seen is why, first of all, this mindset towards, it's a blocker or something is, as I just explained, technology was only a means to the solution. And because there was technology as part of the solution, it wasn't discussed in the beginning. And when it comes to technology, security was again at the end, like who needs access, who doesn't need access, you log in, you log out, and those kind of features. So, which means there was no need for initial conversation. So, that is where I believe this mindset has kind of developed. However, Adrian, what I am experiencing is whenever I talk to any of these senior leaders, all of us on this project want to kind of take this project forward. Okay, we all come from our own perspective, and just all of us are thinking for the well-being of this project. So we want to just make sure that it reaches the way it should, and given the timelines and all of that. All of us are trying to do that good bit from our side. However, the other person is not able to see somebody else's perspective. And that is where this negotiation or trying to explain this side of the story is key. So, again, there is another chapter in the book which talks about how we can have this negotiation, and also some of the industry recommended frameworks as well. So, in my perspective, it is again a team of cybersecurity, the business analysts, everybody in unity trying to explain why we need to have these conversations in the beginning is really the crux of it. So if we fail to convince why it is important, then we haven't done the job. So once we have explained and given and then delivered our analysis, after that, it is the organizations, the leadership team who's actually making a conscious decision of what they are doing. Because
Yeah,
by that time, they do understand why we need to have this, because we know what are the consequences. We know how difficult it is to fix something once it is built, or when we don't even know the answers, or if there's something very sensitive about the data, or if we
yes,
miss. And again, bringing and I think today there are so many stories with in the similar domain, how somebody have kind of misjudged the risk, or they have
absolutely.
misestimated. So when we bring all this information, and I think as a BA, as the trusted advisor, my job
Yeah.
ends there when I deliver it, and I also make sure that I've conveyed it, because
That's right.
the
Yeah,
decision
yeah, that
organizations.
that conveying it and raising the risks, and I liked a lot what you said there about an element of really getting the message across, crafting the message so it's a compelling message. So
Yeah.
we're starting to get towards the end of the session. So for anyone who hasn't entered the competition yet, you've got about 5 minutes or less. So go to badigest.link/comp, then we will draw the competition. So there are a few questions in the chat, Bindu. So we're going to do quick fire questions now to cover as much as we can. So I'm going to put the question up, and if we try and sort of cover it in sort of 30 to 60 seconds. And the first, actually, it's I think two related questions. So although BAs are ready to add cybersecurity to our scope, is the cybersecurity ready and or already embracing BAs, which is an interesting question. And then added to that, we have Robert Snyder says, he asks, since his perception is that the cyber community's comfort zone consists solely of data, dashboards, and vendors. So do you think that the cybersecurity world is ready for business analysis? Because we've discussed whether business analysis is ready for cyber. What about the other way around?
I think today the situation we are in, one is digital everywhere, and the kind of load that cybersecurity teams already are dealing with. I think they would really appreciate if we are offering that help, if we are bringing them a lot of information that would really help them to make the right decisions on what are the solutions, or what are the controls, and anything that really needs. Because I think again, security team, they are in the limelight the moment there's an incident, but we don't even
Yes.
talk about them. We don't even show gratitude when nothing happens, because they are holding the fort. So I think we have alienated the technology team, or specifically the security team, And I think as an organization, we all have one end goal. We have one fort to really hold on to or protect to. And I think it's time we have that conversation. And I think we BAs are kind of trained or skilled to have those difficult conversations, even with those difficult stakeholders. So I think we don't need to call anybody as difficult anymore, because we have
Yes.
those techniques, and we bring in that aspect where we all have to collaborate. So I think rather than asking if they are ready, I think we need to, make that step and put our hand forward to work together.
Absolutely, absolutely, and show them the value of business analysis so that they want to invite us into the party, so to speak. So just before we draw the competition, Bindu, a question which is a really broad question, but I'm gonna give you 60 seconds to answer it, because I'm really unfair like that. Which is, if there are three things, like three, without giving too much away, and of course, if you're watching this, you should definitely go ahead and sorry. I'm trying to work out where my camera is. There it is. There it is. I don't know it's there. You
Yeah.
should definitely get a copy of the book. But like, without giving too much away, what do you think, briefly, three key takeaways will be for people that read the book?
The very first thing is the mindset, or even the awareness. A first step is for a business analyst why this is so important, and then developing the security mindset. And I'm sure people will recognize, even in their personal life, this comes so handy. In their professional life, it comes handy. And of course, the framework that will really bring all the pieces together, both from a BA perspective and the cybersecurity perspective together. And this framework will really hold the BA's hand and take them forward to every stage, whether holistically in the organization you're implementing security, or within in your small teams and projects. This framework is really handy in there. So these are the three top things.
Fantastic. Well, I think now we should draw our two lucky winners of the who will get access to an electronic version of your book, Bindu. Now I've closed the competition, so any entry that is entered from now on, unfortunately, won't be counted. But it'll just take me a second or two, because I need to import the names of the lucky people that put their names on there. And I'm going to, there we go. Oh, I need to get this on my other screen. So, what we're going to do is we're going to choose two lucky winners with a wheel of fortune. So, let's see who our lucky winners are. So, lucky winner number one is, who's it going to be? Oh, is Mr. Colin Jones. So I'm going to write this down. So, Mr. Colin Jones, I will email you a redemption code for an electronic version of the book shortly after this session ends, or certainly by the end of today. And then our next winner, let's spin one more time. Our next winner is, who's it going to be? That's close. So I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Dion Minigan. So Dion and Colin, congratulations! You will get an email from me within the next few hours with redemption codes of the book. So
Congratulations
fantastic!
to
Yeah,
both of you.
congratulations. So, the final thing to say is, I am certain, Bindu, that people will want to know more about what you do. Obviously, they'll want to get their hands on the book. They'll want to perhaps work with you, find out about your training. How can people connect? How can people find out more?
Yes, the first opportunity is go to cybersecurityforbusinessanalysts.com, where they get all the information there. And also they do, I keep updating that so they can get the updates. And if they're buying the book, by the way, if they can go to the website and get the author code, they'll get a 30% discount. So I would highly recommend to do that. And for the training as well, for a half a day training, there's 20% off. And for the full day, it is 40% off. So it would be, that's something for the launch. And any other information, anything at all, yes, I'm available on, you can send me an email on the cybersecurity for businessanalyst.com or on LinkedIn. And Colin and Dion, I would love to hear the feedback once you get your hands on the book, and how are you finding it? And yes, happy reading.
Fantastic. Well, Bindu, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy diary to be here today. I know when we were speaking and preparing for this, you were saying you're speaking virtually every week or two. You've got so many speaking engagements about the book, which just shows how interested people are in the topic. And I know I've said this to you privately, Bindu, but writing a book is a huge achievement, and getting it published. So congratulations. And on a topic that I know you are so passionate about, it's a huge, huge achievement, and a great thing for our community as well. So thank you very much for sharing your knowledge with us, both in the book and the session today.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, and I think you taking this time as well and giving this opportunity to reach out to many, many people is definitely commendable. And I think that's, again, the contribution that goes to building this community and building this awareness. So thank you very much for this opportunity as well.
You are most welcome, Bindu. Final thing before we close, something unrelated, or, well, not directly related, but some of you will be aware. Hopefully, most of you will be aware of a publication called BA Digest, which is, if you're not familiar with it, is a completely free PDF magazine. And not only is it free, you don't have to register. So you can literally go to badigest.link. You can view the entire back catalogue. There's even a searchable archive. Bindu's written 2 articles already in the past, and will be writing more. And Bindu, I know I need to reply to you about that upcoming article. I will do. So this is something I'm really enthusiastic about. It's open access. Also, it's open access in terms of submitting ideas. So if you're watching this and thinking, I've got an article idea, if you head to badigest.link, you'll find out more about how you can submit it. And so if you're not aware of it, do take a look. But other than that, all that's left for me to say is, once again, thank you very much, Bindu, for taking the time. Thank you to everyone who has attended live, or indeed is watching the recording. So remember, get yourself a copy of the book, and see you all next time. So bye for now, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for joining, and your questions, your comments, and see you around. Thank you. Thank you, Adrian.
Thanks.